live. There we go. Lawrence, you're muted. You're muted, Lawrence. Unmute your, hold on. Can you unmute yourself, Lawrence? Okay, hold on.
Okay, now I can. Can I mute? Unmuted?
There you go. You're good. Go ahead.
All right, good. Good morning, everybody. I'm so sorry. I have a little technical technical hitch. Glitch, not an itch, but a glitch. So today's August 26th, and it's a mindset call. And as usual, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. That's from Og Mandino. Highly recommend you read that book and reread it. It's a little modified about the we. So the question today that Dan and I were talking about is, are we surviving or are we thriving? What makes the difference between thriving and surviving? Where are you on this equation? What do you actually want? We've got a few questions that we'll put out, and I'd like to think about it, and then we'll circle back to these questions. So for example, what do you actually want? Things easy, or does ambition motivate you? Are you competitive? If so, does it come naturally, or is it another reason? Dan was one of several brothers and in his family. So, this is an example. How do you become ambitious? How do you become competitive? Are you just naturally that, or are you just happy to be, in a comfort zone? Are you a dreamer, or are you a doer? Are you a doer without being a dreamer? Because if you're a doer and you're not a dreamer and a doer, then you might just be in that comfort zone of being happy where you are. Are you a follower? How much importance do you put on what others think? In other words, how secure are you? So imagine if you were to invite your family and friends to a brainstorming to identify just how many of them are happy and satisfied in their present job, scale of 1 to 10. What do you think the result would be? We should actually put that on as a thing on Facebook. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your job? How's your feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment? On a scale of 1 to 10. So these are some of the questions. So if we want to go back down, let's dissect this a little bit and try and go with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're reading, I think some of us on the call here are reading The Miracle Morning right now. And one of the questions is, are you living your level 10 life? And so when you start thinking about what you want and where you're headed and how you're going to get there, are you living your level 10 life? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in your happiness and your enjoyment and your success level, all of those things. And if you're not at a level 10, how are you going to get there? Success leaves clues, and, we need to learn from those who came before us and learn, from others that have been where we've been and have gone beyond where we are today. And, who we are today is a process or a result of who we were. And if you want to get to that level 10 success, you need to change who you are. And how you're going to do that is by following in the footsteps of those who have been successful. You need to play full out. You need to give it 100% effort to get where you want to be. You need to, involve others in that process. Find out from them, what are some of the things that you can change about yourself that can make you a better person, that can help you be more successful. Are you getting on these calls? Are you learning anything from these calls? Are you capturing some of the ideas that we're talking about? Are you writing them down so that you can reference them later? Are you, reading personal growth books? Are you trying to better yourself on a daily basis. My goal every day is to be better than I was yesterday. And what are those things that I can do and improve about myself that are going to help me be better today than I was yesterday? And so when you talk about surviving, you're talking about just living the norm. You're talking about mediocrity, about doing the bare minimum that you need to do to survive. To thrive, you need to make a concerted effort to actually improve upon yourself, improve upon what you're doing, improve upon how you're doing it. So if you want that next level, you're going to have to work for it. It doesn't just come naturally. It doesn't just happen. Everybody that's been successful have certain traits and certain characteristics that have gotten them to that point in life. The problem with society today, and I've had this conversation multiple times this week, is that everybody has this sense of entitlement, that they're just going to be successful because others have been successful. We have kids that say, okay, I want to be a YouTuber, because they look at somebody being successful on YouTube or Instagram and it looks easy because they're just putting up posts and they've got millions and millions of followers, but there's work that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees. We talk about that iceberg concept where, 90% of the iceberg is below the water level, and only 10% is above it. And what most people see in success is that 10% that's above the water level. They don't see all the work and sacrifice that's gone into being successful to get them there.
Dan, you just made me think about when we were in Provo and we talked with Dr. Raj Sinha. And if you will go back to the recording, you'll see that Dr. Raj Sinha is from India, and he's from India, and he's a PhD, he's an orthopedic surgeon, and so on. And his kids said, "You're not a person of color." And he looked and he said, "Look at me." And they said, "Yeah, but you're successful and you're rich." So I'm trying to say, just following up what you said, Dan, the perception that people have about what is and what isn't is kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. When kids today look and say, I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that. And you were referring actually to just how much sacrifices a lot of the vets have in having done everything for us today. And some of these kids say, well, it's my entitlement. I'm entitled to this or that. I'm not getting any way political. I'm just saying that it's the perception of how some people view life. And that's why these questions become pertinent, because we've got to introspect. We've got to see what makes us tick, what makes us successful. How do we become successful? Do we want to even become successful? Some people have, fear of success, FOS, fear of success. I've heard that before. We've had fear of missing out. We've had fear of failure. We've had all these other, but fear of success is also one. So, we've got to look at ourselves, introspect and see, and plan of action. And it's consistency, it's perseverance, it's being focused, it's being enthusiastic about what we do. And that's why we've got to love what we do. Otherwise it becomes a huge pain. It's just a heavy load. But if we like what we do, it's not a heavy load. And then we become creative and we can excel. But we've got to love what we do. Is this for you? Is this for them? Is this for us? We've got to ask these questions. And then we've got to make some decisions, take some decisions.
And those decisions are always, not always, but a lot of times about time. People don't get where they want to be in life, or they don't reach that level 10 success because they say they don't have time. And if something's important enough to you, you're going to make the time. If it's important enough in your life, you need to make the time. And so you need to carve out some time every single day. And that's a mindset shift. You know, the mindset shift is, you know, shifting from that fixed mindset of I don't have time to be to get where I want to go in life. I don't have time to focus the energy on that, to a growth mindset where you say, I'm able to do this. I'm able to reach this level of success if I put the time in, and if I create the time to focus on where I want to be and what I want to do. And so if you're involved in this particular business opportunity, you know, there's a reason you're here. Is it because you want to help people? Is it because you want to help improve people's lives? Is it because you want to reach that next level in your life, financially or time freedom? You know, do you want more freedom, more time freedom, a better lifestyle? And do you want to do your own thing? Do you not want to be told that you have to be somewhere 9 to 5? Do you want to design your own life and live the life that you want to lead? You know, we have a limited amount of time here on this planet. And for me, moving forward, being told that I have to be somewhere from 9 to 5, that I have to work 7 days a week, that I have to, you know, get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go into a hospital. That's not the life that I want to live anymore. You know, there's a lot more to life than just the financial aspect of it. And so for me, if I can create a lifestyle where I'm able to pay my bills and I'm able to flourish, but also have that time freedom to do what I want, when I want, help other people, make an impact on others, that's what I want to do with the rest of my life. And so you need to make time to participate. You need to make time to do those daily activities that are going to help you be successful. And making time to participate means being on these Friday calls, inviting others to be on these calls. It doesn't matter if they're involved in this business or not. Invite your friends, invite your family. If you think this call will benefit them on a weekly basis, by all means, invite them to this call, because this is a way that Lawrence and I can impact other people. And we're taking time to participate in these calls for the benefit of everybody. You know, we learn things from these calls ourselves, preparing for them. You know, these calls take, you know, a significant amount of preparation. And one of the reasons I love doing this is because I'm growing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, preparing for these calls. And then being able to impart what we've learned by preparing for these calls to everybody else is how we make an impact. And that's, you know, by participating every Friday on these calls.
Dan, also, while you're mentioning this, I just would like also to give a shout out about the preparation of calls to Kent Nelson and Mansi Shaw. You know, the Wednesday last night or the night before, they had a call about psoriasis and antioxidants, and they have these science calls. And there's a lot of preparation in those too. And honestly, the calls are phenomenal. They're very, very, very worthwhile. And the one, again, on day before yesterday was about, you know, antioxidants and psoriasis. And you look at on TV and they're advertising all these pharmaceutical products for psoriasis, which have, you know, side effects, which melt your brain and all sorts of other stuff. So anyway, I just want to give a shout out to Kent Nelson and Mansi Shaw. The other thing, you know, when you said, Dan, have to, that for me has been always my motivation. When somebody says, I expect you to do this, you have to do that. That for me was a red flag in front of a bull. Have to? What do you mean I have to? Yeah, you have to do this. You have to go to work at this. You have to be there. You have to do this. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. So the pain of have to becomes so big that you say, well, I'm just going to do it on my own. And you may even fail, but it feels better than have to do something. Even if you do something and it's not so successful, but the pain is less than have to do, in my case, then I have to do something, then it becomes worthwhile. And then you work at getting better and better and better so that eventually it becomes a pleasure not to have to do anything. And for me, that was the big motivation. The thing, of course, that's important is that we need to have discipline. When you're talking about a finite time, we all have the same chronological bank account, same number of minutes, every single one of us on this planet. Every morning it's topped up, our bank account with minutes, same amount of time. Well, some people use that time and are able to work like crazy if they like, and then they go and play golf, or they go and play tennis, or they go on a boat, whatever it is. Other people don't have time to go to the toilet. Why? Because of an organizational structure that we ourselves can learn. We don't, not necessarily all are born in a disciplined way, but the army, the soldiers, the people who are in the forces, they become disciplined. And that's why they become like a well-oiled machine. We talk about the Marines, we talk about the SEALs, we talk about, oh my gosh, how do they work like a well-oiled machine? It's discipline and mission and focus. And so, we can be our own SEALs or our own, in our businesses, our own Navy SEALs or our own, Marines in our own business. And we can help our team do the same thing. And if we do this as a team, that's when we can really, excel.
Yeah, when you start talking about a have to, I've created a life, and many on this call have created a life where we want to. I don't have to do things anymore. I do them because I want to do them, not because I have to or somebody's expecting me to do it, or I have to do it because my job depends on it. I do things because I want to do those things. And Lawrence and I had a conversation the other day because I was talking to him a little bit about some of the other things I do in conjunction with this, with some veterans and some other things. And he's like, I don't understand how you do it all. And it's all about discipline. It's all about prioritizing what you need to get done. I have a calendar and I have a list of things that I need to do in a certain order that I want to get them done in for that day to be the most efficient. But if I can't get a hold of somebody to get something done that I need to get done, I move them down on the list. But I prioritize things based on what I want to get done that day, not what I have to get done that day, because I don't have to get anything done. I prioritize based on what I want to get done that day and what is going to make me feel most productive, and help me reach my goals that I've set to have that 10x life that I want to have. I want to always be maxed out on that level 10 life in whatever it is, whether it's my relationships with my family, with my girlfriend, with my coworkers, with other organizations that I work with. And how am I going to reach that level 10 success in everything that I do? And that's by prioritizing what I want to get done that day to have that level 10 success, and then readjusting those things on my schedule and on my list based on whether or not I can get them done because of different variables or obstacles to getting them done. And then if I can't get them done, the things lower down on my list are things that I can move over to the next day and reprioritize for the next day. But I put those lists together and I look at my calendar in the evening before I go to bed so that I'm not laying awake thinking about what I want to get done the following day. So it's about preparation as well, preparing the evening before for what you need to get done the following day and prioritizing it, and then being disciplined in how you're approaching that list and your calendar every single day.
Yeah, those bookends that we talk about, and in fact, Dan's brought out an idea that there's a book called The Miracle Morning. And we are going to be going through the Miracle Morning. And it's about, again, having some kind of a discipline, getting up at 5 a.m, for example. I mean, for me, that's an anathema. I haven't gotten up at 5 a.m unless it's to catch a flight. Otherwise, for, I don't know, 25 years, I haven't got up at 5 in the morning. Why? But, this is a new beginning. If we want to do that, it doesn't have to be 5. But what I'm saying is that it's about the planning ahead, and we want what we want to do the next day, and to have it in a structured way. And, mindset is so, so important. And I always look on a little bit, I kind of go on a rabbit hole, but just a quick one. In Colombia, I go around in a taxi a lot. And in Cali or Cartagena or Bogota, you say to the taxi driver, "How's it going?" And they'll all say, the same old, it's the same, I'm in the same thing, and the economy's screwed, or whatever it is. They're all bleh. You go to Medellin, and those are the people from Antioquia, call the Paisas, and say, "How's it going?" "Oh my God, we're so blessed. Look at our city. Look how good everything is. Look how wonderful." And Medellin, compared to the rest of it, Medellin is amazing. And the rest of the country has potholes, and it looks like, a lot of improvement to be done. So even down to the taxi drivers in Medellin, the mindset is, wow, I'm so blessed. Look how good everything is. And this is something we've got to try and impart in ourselves to feel good, so that we can impart that with everybody else. And if we know what we've got, and first of all, if we know who we are, we know what we want, and we know what we have, man, we've got something really great. And we've got to impart that. We're going to be talking about the 4 disciplines. We're going to be doing a series of those, because there's some, as Jan said at the beginning, success leaves clues. We don't have to reinvent anything. We just have to see what is working and what isn't. How is it working? Why is it working? Where is it working? And that's for us then to analyze and say, wow, I can put those shoes on because I think they'll fit.
Yeah, I'm excited about, I've the last couple of years I've been undisciplined for various reasons, mostly because of some health issues. But, I started getting up at 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning religiously. And that was part of my success, is that I was at the hospital before anybody. I was prepared before anybody. I was always standing there with a smile when the staff came into the operating room, because I was fully 100% prepared, because I got up early and I made sure that I was prepared. And I've gotten away from that. And I probably haven't been as successful as I would like to be in certain things in the last couple of years. And that's probably a big reason why. And so I need to get back to that. And I'm really excited about doing this Miracle Morning thing. And I'm really doing it for myself, because I need to get back to waking up early and getting in a routine and being more disciplined. But anybody who wants to join us in the month of September is more than welcome to join us. We're going to do a Facebook Messenger group for accountability. We're going to do a Zoom call every week, Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. to talk about the different concepts in the book and hear from some people what they're doing and how it's changing their lives. And, like I said, this is a selfish thing on my part, because I really want to do this, and it's for me. But if others want to join us, it can be for everybody, and we can all hold each other accountable and see what we can do to find those 1 or 2 things in our lives that we need to change, that's going to lead to greater success, to lead to that level 10 success in our own lives. It's different for everybody. But by being disciplined and working some of these concepts into our daily lives, things like having daily affirmations and a silent time, meditation and visualization, exercising, and then scribing or just journaling, are the lifesavers. They call them savers in this book, that can help lead to greater success in our lives. And so if we can share this with everybody in our group, and we can help everybody get to that level 10 success, whatever that is for you, it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
No, it's leading by example. Dan says it's for him. Well, if you are sure of who you are and you're sure of what you do, and you walk your talk, that's integrity. And integrity brings credibility. And that's what leadership is about. When you do things and you act on things that you really believe, that's what leadership is. So lead by example. That's what this is about. So it's the miracle morning. Dan was just pointing out yesterday, we were talking about it. We've got a person that we interviewed that is a part of our team, who's Dr. Neil Farber. He's actually quoted in this miracle morning book. They've actually quoted him in there as not just being a dreamer, but a dreamer and a doer. You've got to be both a dreamer and a doer. Otherwise, you're just a doer and you're a follower. But a dreamer, you've got a fertile mind, and you can put into action certain things. So
Yeah, he actually said, they were talking about vision boards, and he actually said vision boards are for dreamers. Action boards are for doers.
exactly. So we're on time, Dan. Thank you. We're just about on time there. Has anybody got anything they want to add, or any comment you want to make? Anybody? Dan's got a hard close in a couple of minutes but if you've got any questions or any.
Yes, I want to say thank you.
Okay, Marlene. Marlene is in Belgium, by the way.
Yes.
Good.
And I unfortunately some of your calls I can't attend because they're in the middle of the night for me. But Larry very kindly sends the recording to me, and I look at them. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thanks, Marlene.
Bye, Dan.
Anybody else got anything before we close?
Nope.
Thanks as always for you guys doing what you do and creating some inspiration on a Friday.
Well, thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Feel free, like I said, to invite others, whether they're a part of our group in the business or not. We're happy to have as many people as possible. And everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Okay. Thank you.
There.
Thank you, Dan and
Everybody,
Lawrence.
thank you.
Thanks, Dan and Lawrence.
Adios.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well,
You.
Thanks, guys.